Okay, record liao. Wait, let me push this back a bit. Okay, so basically, when you provide input to a program, you're telling them, giving it some information, and then the program is supposed to do some operation on your input and produce a result or an outcome to you as a user, and that will be an output. Okay, so if you look at page 16, when you input something into a worksheet cell, let's say you enter a formula into worksheet cell A1, then you want it to give you an output, which is maybe the answer to the formula. In ActiveX control, you input something through text boxes. For example, yesterday we created a text box and then we input in your name. And thereafter, the label actually shows you the output. So the output will be displayed by the label. In the VBA function, inputs are given through the input box and outputs are displayed with the message box. This one we'll explore more when we do more VBA programming and functions later. So in order to go further about input-output, we need to understand different types of data and how do we call this kind of data? What kind of name do we give to this kind of data? So if you look at page 16, in page 16 there are 4 categories of data. The first category is integer. So I'm going to write it here, integer. First one, integer. So integer is very simple. Integer are basically whole numbers. So if you learn math long enough, you know integers are very whole numbers such as 1, 28, minus 98, 1 million. All these are whole numbers. So when you later define or assign a variable or rather define a variable to be an integer, that means subsequently you can only key in whole numbers like these. Okay, it will only recognize whole numbers like this. Number 2, the second type of data variable is called a double. Double means you are able to store numbers that comes with decimal points. So for example, instead of 1, it will allow you to store number like 1.2, allow you to store number like negative 98.3684, allow you to store number like 0.5. So double doesn't mean only 2 decimal places. Double just means that it can take decimal points, decimal places. The third one is a very common variable you see only in programming, in IT. It's called Boolean. Boolean, basically very simple. It stores true, false value. Just true or false. That's it. Okay, so if you define a variable as a Boolean variable, then that variable can only take on 2 inputs, either true or false. And number 4 is a string. String, I think we have dealt with this before. It is just basically text values. And these text values are denoted with open inverted commas. So if you write something like my name, Lee HT, LHT, with open inverted commas, this will be treated as a string. If you write something like 1.2, and then you put open inverted commas like this will no longer be treated as a double. This will be treated as a string because of the open inverted commas. Similarly, if you have 1 million, okay, and then you put open inverted commas, then later you'll be treated as a string. Okay, can I go back to the integer? For 1 million, I should not have the commas. The commas will make it unrecognizable by the computer later. So it should just be 1000000. Okay? So these are the 4 big types of data types for values. So with these 4, can you tell me for the challenge question that follows, what are the answers? So let's go through the answers, okay? I'm going to ask you what are your answers. So now I'm at page 16, I'm at a challenge. So I want part A, answer. Answer negative 32.14. What kind of variable, what kind of data type is this? I'm going to ask Alicia. Alicia, can you tell me negative 32.14? What kind of data type is this?
Is it a double?
Yep. It is a double. Why?
The decimals.
Yep, because this value has a decimal place. It's up to decimal precision. You're right. So I think it's a double. Part B, 9.87 with open inverted commas. Erica, what do you think is the answer? String? Why string, Erica? Why string? The answer is there at the bottom of the challenge, so more importantly is why. Got the open inverted commas. Part C, A, B, C. Okay, I'm not going to ask you for the answer because the answer is there. So instead, I'm going to ask you why. The answer says invalid. Invalid means it doesn't fall into any of the 4 categories. So why is it invalid? Maya, what do you think? Why is it not string? Why is it invalid? Yeah, because don't have the open inverted commas. Because no open inverted commas. Part D, 10,000. This was my mistake just now, right? It is invalid because it should not have, the comma. Part E, VB at 97% close. Inverted commas. Rachel, what's the answer here? String, and it's string because? Why string? Yeah, I got a double open inverted commas. Next one. How about F? Darren, 6500. What kind of data type is this? Think leh, I just talk about the 4 categories, right? There are only 4, you just have to make a choice. And the answer is there. I'm going to wait until you give me an answer. What do you mean where? Okay, forget about Darren. Integer because it is a whole number, 6,500. Next one, G. True. Emily, true is what kind of data type? Boolean, because remember, Boolean variable takes on true, false values. H, $sign 6.50. Maya, what kind of data type is this? Invalid. Why invalid? Why can't it be double with a decimal point? Because there's a $sign. So the $sign makes it invalid. If it had not had a $sign, then that's fine. It would be a double. Oops, sorry. Last one, last one, I. Part I, okay, I'm going to write I here. I is here. Part I is false with open inverted commas. This is invalid. Why? Melissa, why is it invalid?
For Which?
The last one, false with open inverted commas. Why is it invalid? Oh, sorry, it's not invalid. It is a string. I'm sorry. Why is it string? Why is it not Boolean?
Because there is inverted commas.
Yeah, because of the inverted commas.
Mm.
Okay? So this is the exercise for page 16. So we identified the different types of data types. So there are 4. Integer, meaning whole numbers, without any comma or dollar sign or any other thing, just pure numbers. Double means it can hold decimal precision. So like 2.33, 4.8, 9, 10. Boolean is either true or false. String must be enclosed by open inverted commas and it will be treated as text. Okay, can I go on to the next page and we're going to talk about dimension or variable. Okay, so dim, when you see dim in a VBA code, it stands for dimension. And when what does dimension do is it refers to a variable or a place for you to store values. So that later, subsequently, when you execute a code, they will draw the values from the variable that you store that value in. So it's like a warehouse where you put stuff in, and later, as and when you need it, it will take the stuff from the warehouse. So what you need to do is you need to give the variable a name, and you need to then dim the variable as a data type, such as integer, double, Boolean, etc. Okay, so here on page 17, if you're looking at the notes, they wrote the first code here, dim R C as integer. Okay, I'm not gonna write dim R C as integer. I'm just gonna say dim R. Okay. Now what happens is if you just write dim R, what VBA will see this is that they say, oh, R is a variable. Okay, so you will see R as a variable. But because you did not tell the code dim R as what kind of variable, what it does is it will just default it to a variant data type by default, because you did not tell it what kind of data type it is. So once it is set by default to a variant data type, then it can take on anything. It can take on string, it can take on numeric, it can take on double, it can take on integer. So sounds like a very good deal, right? Because basically you can put in any kind of data. But unfortunately, when you have a variable set as a variant data type, it takes up a lot of memory. So it's not the most efficient way of writing a code. So usually, as far as possible, we will dim a variable, say a variable R, as something. So we have to tell the code what kind of data type R is going to take. Okay? So that it doesn't take up too much memory later. So we want it to be more efficient. So instead of writing just writing it as dim just dim R, instead of writing like this, I'm going to specify what I want to call it. Well, what kind of data type it will take. So I say dim R as integer. So when I type in a code like this, what the VBA will see as is, oh, R is a variable name, and R is going to take in integer values only. So subsequently, if you let R key in a value of R equals to 1.8, do you think you will recognize? Do you think your program can run? Can or not? Hamzini, do you think a program will run smoothly if later you key in R or you input R as 1.8? Oh, okay, you didn't hear my question, huh? My question is, if I had put in this code, I say dim R as integer, and subsequently, as I continue typing the code, I actually input R as 1.8. Will the program run smoothly? Will it be able to run or not? Yeah, it cannot run because it's meant to be integer and it's not taking an integer number. Okay? So writing down dim r as integer, again, like I said earlier, it helps you to save memory because then you don't go to the default variant data type. Okay, I'm going to the example on page 17. Let's see what on page 17 they wrote. They say dim r, comma, c as integer. Now, when we look at this code, when we look at this line here, what happens is, what VBA will see later is, it will consider r to take only integer value only, but it will take c as a variable to take integer data type only, but because it did not specify r to take integer, it will set default to the variant data type. Okay, so what happens is, in this line, only c is deemed as integer. The r wasn't. It will be set as the default variant data type. So then you will take up some memory. So not very optimal, right? So instead, if we want both of them to be deemed as integer, we must write like that. Dim r as integer. So r will be dimension as an integer, comma, c as integer. So c also will be set as an integer data type, an integer variable. Is that okay? Similarly, if I want r to be double and I want c to be double, then I write dim r as double, c as double. Okay? So this is setting of the variables in the beginning of the program. Are we okay? So dim stands for dimension. Okay, I go on to the next slide. Okay, so how do we decide what kind of variable name? Just now, our variable names, if you recall, are r and c. These were the two variable names. Okay, so how do we decide what kind of variable names do we give? Of course, you give variable names that are meaningful. For example, if your program is about, let's say, I don't know, burger sale, then maybe you will want to write variable burger chick, burger beef, burger fish, for example. So something that's meaningful to your program. But there are some conditions to satisfy. So I'm at page 17 again, right in the middle. Some condition to satisfy. First condition, there must be no spacing. Okay, your variable name cannot have spacing, must be continuous. Condition number 2, must not have symbol. So I don't want to see things like @ the hex, the dollar, and all this, no. But underscore is okay. Underscore is okay. Point number 3, condition number 3, no reserved words. What are reserved words? Reserved words are like words that VBA use typically to run certain codes. So for example, you cannot use dim. Dim is already recognized as something you do, you must write into the code in order to dimension, right? Don't use words like if, don't use words like else, because these are command words. Point number 4, condition number 4, do not have number in front. No number in front. So you cannot have 1x like in the book, or 2y. Cannot. These are not allowed. But you can have x1, y2. Those are okay. Just no numbers in front. Point number 5, there's a length limit. Do not have so long variables. The limit is 255 characters. Okay? So with those 5 conditions in mind, I am going to run through the next challenge. Challenge number 2, part A. The code says dim x as integer. Integer. Okay, let me copy down the entire thing. Is this valid or invalid? Dim x as integer. Will this declaration or will this line of code be executable? Is it okay? Alicia, will this be okay? Okay, why? What's wrong with this? What's wrong with this line? Yeah. Okay, the problem here is not the variable name. The problem here is with the spelling of the integer. It's spelled as integer, so there's an error there. Okay, so nothing wrong with X. Part B. Part B, dim area of circle as double. What's wrong with this code? It is invalid. Why won't it run? What's wrong? Rachel, what's wrong with this line? Dim area of circle as double. Why is it invalid? Yeah, because of the spacing. Area of circle. This was meant to be the variable name, but you're not supposed to have spacing in the variable name. So the answer is invalid because there is spacing in the variable name. Okay? Part C, dim string as string. What's wrong? Also, it says invalid, but why? Erica? Yeah. Because the word string, invalid, okay, I'm going to write it like this, invalid because the variable name string is a VBA reserved word. So let's use professional terms like reserved word. So it's a word reserved for VBA. So cannot use it for variable, okay? Part D, dim R1, R2, R3 as double. Can or not? I think the answer is valid. Okay, R1, R2, R3 as double. This line will run because all the three variables R1, R2, R3 are okay. Remember we say number cannot come in front, but letter followed by number is okay. But in this line of code, right, which one will be dim as double? All the R1, R2, R3 or just one of them? Just R3. So what happens to R1 and R2? How will they be, what kind of data type will they be set as? Yeah, okay, not default variable form, default variant form. So R1, R2 will be set as variant data type. R3 will be double data type. Okay, but this line of code will run okay. It will not, like, get hanged there and then cannot execute. There's nothing wrong with this code. Okay, next one is dim $1500 with a comma as integer. So this one again is invalid because you have used symbols such as $sign, such as comma in the variable. Okay, so I'm going to say that because variable name contains symbols. Part F, dim 135 as integer. Why is it invalid, Maya? Yeah, you cannot start with a number, right? So 135 it starts with a number, so invalid. Okay, invalid because variable, I cannot write properly here, cannot start with a number. Part G, dim my underscore name as a string. I think this will be valid. Nothing wrong with this. There is a space, but the space is covered by the underscore. Underscore is fine, remember we say, right? So I'm not going to elaborate there. And finally, H, dim jp01/01 as string. What's wrong with this? Why is it invalid? Hamsini? Yeah, there's a slash, there's a symbol. No symbol allowed. Okay, if it had been an underscore, it will be fine. So we are done with page 17. So you understand that you set a dimension to a variable so that you can tell what kind of data type you can take. And also you set aside a variable name so that later it can act like a storage place for you to key in values, and so that subsequently we can draw values from that storage place to run codes for execution of code. Okay, so I'm going to continue with the next page. Can you turn to the next page? The next page is basically an exercise, a challenge. Okay, so basically just now what we did was we started by assigning a name to a warehouse. Remember we say like a storage place. After that, once the warehouse is set up, we can then put in things, right? So we can put in values. You can put in values to them so that you can use those values later. So in the middle of the page 18, right? Sorry, not in the middle, right at the top, they say dim x as integer. So what you're saying is that x is the variable name and x can take integer values. Okay, once you set up the warehouse, which is x, then we can start keying in the value that x can take. So the next line, then we say x equals to 28. So basically what's stored inside the warehouse now is the value 28. And this code is executable because x is supposed to take integer values and 28 is really integer. So there's no problem with that. So if you say, teacher, can I write it as 28 equal to x? Cannot. Remember, the variable name must be on the left-hand side, and the input that you're supposed to put in, assigned to that variable, must be on the right-hand side. So cannot write like this, okay? Don't write like this. Please do not write like that. It will not run. Okay? So I want you to look at the challenge that's right at the bottom, and then you tell me how you should fill in the blanks by looking at the data types of the variables. And then later say if the program will work. If it will work, why? And if it does not work, why not? Okay? While you are thinking about it, I'm going to write down the entire code, so please bear with me. It's going to take a while. Okay, so this is basically a program to declare variables. Okay, so this was the code. Can you tell me what goes into the first blank? So first line says dim x as integer. Okay, second line, fill in the blank. Dim email as, let's look at the email. Email is here. Email is given as open inverted commas abc@def.com. So what kind of data type is this? What kind of data type is this? I don't have a lot of people to ask. I'm gonna ask Alicia, help me please. What kind of data type is email? String? Okay, I agree it's string because it has open inverted commas. And then we dim y as what? Erica? Double, yep, double, because it takes on one decimal place, right? So is it, as long as it's decimal place, it will be a double. Dim flag as, let's see, what flag is? Flag is given as true. Rachel? Flag is given as true. So what kind of data type is this? Flag is given as true. So what is the data type? Dim flag as Boolean, that's right. Boolean takes on true, false value. So Boolean, okay. So after that, the program ends. The question is, does this program work? Do you think this program is going to work, or is there going to be a problem? Emily, will this program work? It will work? Why? Does everything look okay in the program? Nothing overlaps. Okay. Actually, the program will have an issue. The issue comes from you dim x as an integer. Remember? So you say x can only take integer values. But let's see what x was given. X was given the value of open inverted comma, hello, close inverted comma. So x was given a string data type when it's dimensioned as an integer. So it will not work. So the program will fail. It will not work because x is supposed to take integer values only, but is given a text, a string value. Okay? So the error that you see, actually, there's an answer at the bottom. They say you will see an error that says runtime error, type mismatch. So the type mismatch as in integer here, mismatch with string here. Okay? So far so good. So we are setting all these dimensions so that later when we write more and more complicated programs, right, if there's a problem, at least you can trace back which variable got problem. Okay? Can we continue? And also when we set variable names, later we can give the variable values and then we can use those values to run our program. Okay? Any issues so far? If I don't hear any objection, I'm going to go on to the last page, page 19. Is everybody okay? Okay, I pause here for 1 minute. Let y'all think about things. Tell me if there's any issue. If not, I'm going to go on to exercise 1 on page 19. Okay? Ken? Okay, so so far we've been dealing with Excel, and we all know how to read Excel cells, C-E-L-L-S, C-E-L-L-S. So for example, first row, first column, we know it is cell A1. Second row, third column is B3, okay? And so on and so forth. So how do I translate all these A1, B3 in the Excel worksheet format into VBA codes? So in VBA codes, they are written like this: CELLS, cells, open bracket, comma, close bracket. Okay, so there will be a number you enter here that represents the number of rows, the row number, and then there'll be a number that you write here which indicates the column number. So A1 for that matter, A1, cell A1, which is the very first cell, will be written as cells 1, 1. First row, first column. Okay? Cell C2 will be written as, let me see, is there something wrong? Uses RC orientation. R represents the row index and C represents the column index. A. Okay, so in C2, C2 is represented by second row, column C is the third column, so we'll write 2, 2, 3. So second row, third column. Whereas B3 is in the third row, second column, so it'll be written as cells, third row, second column. So far okay? What happens if I want to write the code for F9? Cell F9, what will you write? Cells, open bracket, what, comma, what? Which row, which column? Yes, Hamsini, you're writing something halfway? 9, 6, exactly, because it's in the 9th row, and column F is actually the 6th column. Okay, I will not test you too much beyond those because after you start counting A, B, C, D, E. But basically that's how we denote it in the VBA code. Okay, so to continue with the exercise, I'm going to ask you to open up VBA chapter 03. Can you do that? Open up VBA chapter 03. You should have downloaded it beforehand. Oh, mine is not downloaded. Where is it? Okay, I'm going to download VBA chapter 03. Please bear with me. Please download VBA chapter 03 from Blackboard so that we can work with it. In the same place, Fundamentals of Spreadsheet Programming under Learning Resources, download chapter 03. Okay? Okay, now I'm going to focus on my Excel. So I'm going to present the Excel. So just focus on the Excel. Okay? So can you go to the tab that says Exercise 301? So just choose the one here, 301. Okay, click on Enable Content. Are we all here? Can you all see my Excel? Now can see? Tell me if you cannot see. Can? Anybody cannot see? Okay, let me bring this here. Shit. Can see? Okay, no complaint means I'm going to go on already. So basically we have this worksheet that looks like this, exercise 301. Here they ask you to enter row index. They entered for you already. They enter 5. Then enter column index. They enter here for you 3. So based on the selection of row index 5 and column index 3, you should be referring to cell C5. Why C5? Because row number 5, column number 3. So you must be referring to cell C5. So let me put my cursor at cell C5. I think they are referring to cell C5. Let me try. Let me guess. Okay. So I put my cursor at cell C5. Okay. So then I'm going to do some typing. I'm going to type in hello. According to what the question say, I say type in string value at hello. Okay. Then you enter. Then click on the guess the cell address. Let's just click on it and see what happens. Okay. Now what happens is the cell gets filled up with cyan color, and the word hello is still there, but it gets filled up with cyan color to indicate that you have guessed the cell correctly. Okay, why did this work was because they actually the teacher who created this actually wrote a code inside the VBA program. Later we'll take a look at the code, but before I go in and take a look at the code, let me guess something else. Pretend that I didn't know the answer. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to clear everything. So I'm going to here. Can you click on clear? Clear all. So that we reset everything. Okay, clear all. Are you with me? Okay. So now I'm going to enter another number. What number do you want me to enter? Okay, I'm going to enter in something. Let's say I'm going to enter in 10. Then I'm going to enter in 7. So row 10, column 7. Row 10, column 7. What is the cell name in normal Excel worksheet? You expect this to appear. Which cell are you referring to? Row 10, column 7. Anyone? Darren, row 10, column 7. What cell am I referring to? What do you think? Darren, are you here? Maya, what do you think? If I put in row 10, column 7, what cell will I be referring to in Excel worksheet? G10, okay? So I agree because it will be, yeah, G10. So row number 10, column G, so G10. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go to G10. I'm going to type any text. I'm going to type my name, DHT. I enter. And then I'm going to guess the cell. So see, this indicates that it is correct because it got filled up in cyan color and then the font gets enlarged. Okay? So let me clear this. Again, one more time, clear all. Let me clear all. And it doesn't allow me to clear all. Clear formats. Okay, let me see why I cannot clear all. Nice. Clear all. Okay, I clear all. So assuming that I did not know it was G10, I thought it was G7. Let's say I didn't know. And then I anyhow type a word LHT here. Then if I were to run guess the cell address, you see the cyan color will appear at the correct place and not where I thought it was. So that tells me that, hey, I got it wrong. Okay? Now, to see the code behind this, I want you to go to design mode. So go to developer. go to developer, and then go to design mode, turn it on. Okay? And I want you to click on the guess the cell address button, double click, so that we can see the code behind it. Remember yesterday we actually added some ActiveX control, and then we double click to write in some code so that it can do some funny actions for us. So it's a similar thing. So here I have double click on the button, and let's look at the code that was running what we did just now. Okay, let's see here. Okay, let's understand this code a little bit. So basically, these are the lines of code that cause what happened to happen. So firstly, we are saying that we are doing something to the button. Remember, it is a button. Okay, so we are doing something to the button that's called guess, and because it is a control button, command button, it will activate the event upon a click. That's why it's a click. Then open bracket, close bracket. Okay. Then we follow by declaring the dimension. So I dim R as an integer. So R is my first variable, and it's going to take integer values only. Next one, C is my second variable, and it's also going to take integer values only. So this is dimension. Remember the dim that we just did just now. After I have indicated the dimension, now I'm going to give the variable R some details. So I'm saying that R is taking on the cell address of 1, 2, which means first row, second column. So let's look back at the worksheet. Remember, we key in the row index 10 at first row, second column. Okay, so it's consistent with R. So here I put then dot value. So here I give a little comment to say that we are trying to get the row index value from B1. Okay, let me see again. Is it B1? Yes, we're trying to get the row index value from B1. C, which is the second variable, will take on the value from cells 2, 2, second row, second column. So take the value from cell 2, 2. Where's 2, 2? Second row, second column. So it will take value from this cell. And again, I put a remark to say, hey, I'm trying to get column index value from the cell B2. So let's check whether correct. Yes, B2. After that, I give it an action. What is it I want you to do? So the cells taking the values from R and C will become a font size of 18. And the cells taking the values of R and C, the interior color will change to cyan. So basically, this entire line of code is saying that first you get value of R from the input of cell 1, 2, this one. Then you get the value of C from cell 2, 2, which is this one. Thereafter, get the values of R and C. Go to the cell that correspond to the row number, row index, column index. Increase the font size to 18 and color it cyan. Okay? So this is what the entire code does. So let's play around with it a little bit. Now let's say I don't want it to be font 18. I want it to be font 25. Let's try. Change it to font 25, way bigger. Can you change that code for me? So write the font size as 25. And instead of cyan, I don't want it to be cyan, I want it to be red. So VB red. Change the interior color to red. Let's see what happens, okay? Okay, let's go back to the spreadsheet. Let's get out of design mode. You always must get out of design mode first, then you can activate the ActiveX control. Can? But before that, let me clear everything, otherwise later very confusing. So many colors and so many text. So I'm going to clear all, clear all, clear all. Okay, so everything is empty now. So I enter in 10, I enter in 7. So I will expect it to be G10 again, right? G10 should be the one that is the cell that I want to go to. So I key in hello. Let's see what happens when I guess the cell address. So can you see the font size is way bigger now, and the color has turned to red. So this is it for this exercise. Any question? You can play around with the code. If you are adventurous, I suggest you do this, okay? Shall we shift the enter row index, shift the column index to another place, and then see how we should change the code in order to effect that change. So let me do something like this. I'm going to cut and paste. So I'm going to cut. I'm going to put it here. Let's try, Okay? Okay. Now I want to do exactly the same thing that we did before, except now I've changed the way my input cells. They are no longer at the same place as they used to be. So how should we change the code accordingly? So let's go back here, okay? Tell me, what should I write here for R? I think the first line no change. It's the second line onwards. What should I change for R? Cells, what? What should I change for R? The line of code for R? What should these two numbers change to? Any idea? Exactly, 8292, right? Because cells no longer 1, 2, cells 82 to get the row number, cells 92 to get the column number. And instead of the command B1, it should read B8 and B9. Okay. And let's say I don't want it to be font 25. I want it to be very small. I want it to be font 8. And I don't want this to be, let's say I want blue. Okay, let's change it to font size 8 and VB blue. Okay, and then we're ready to try and execute. So let me clear everything first. Clear this entire cell. Clear all. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I at the design mode first? Okay. So get out of design mode. Let's try. So now I'm going to click on this. Okay, it has turned blue and it's very small, so you can't really see it. Oh, I did not type anything. I'm sorry. Let me do it again. Okay, sorry, I forgot to type something, so let me type my name again. I guess the cell address. So it has turned into blue background and the font size has indeed gone to smaller. Okay, so you can play around with the codes here. Any questions for today? I'm done with page 19, so I'm done for the entire HBR week. Anything to ask me? If everything is okay, I will see you next week for class on Monday. Don't forget to hand in your project group part 1. Due next Sunday, I think. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.